So, folks, we have to talk about something utterly bizarre that happened, I believe, over the weekend. No, 4 days ago. So this would have been Friday. I did not stream on Friday, so my sense of time is a little bit skewed today. But this happened several days ago. We're going to talk about Melania here because seemingly out of the blue, for no reason, Melania Trump called a press conference that was given through the official White House channels. And it's, let's just say, very weird. Let's check it out. The vibes are instantly terrible.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common.
I cannot stress enough how out of the blue this was. There's no lead up to this. There's no explanation for why she's deciding to come out and do this press conference. There is, if you're wondering why is she doing this, that's the current question we are dealing with at the moment, right? The vibe is awkward anxiety indeed, Winifred.
New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence.
I don't know. You ended your email saying love, love Melania. I don't know. I don't tell people I am slightly associated with that I love them. You know, that's reserved for the homies.
My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim.
A tribal note? Was she trying to say the word trivial?
Note amount to anything more than a trivial note.
Oh, okay.
I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998.
Uh-huh.
This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania.
Buy my book. Buy my book. Like, I gotta be honest, the vibe that is coming out of this is, it's as if there's an article dropping with a,
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Vibe to it, you know? That's the kind of thing that is coming off of this for me, you know?
The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe. These images and stories are completely false.
Yeah.
I'm not a witness or a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes.
Yeah, guys, don't think that Melania Trump could ever be associated with any of Epstein's crimes. I mean, why would anyone ever think that she might be? Oh, there she is in a photograph with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's just one photograph, guys. That's what you would not find Melania Trump in another photograph with Jeffrey Epstein or his accomplice who also had sex with children, Ghislaine Maxwell. You cannot do it. You cannot. Oh, well, I mean, okay, that two pictures. It's not like they had an ongoing. There she is. There's Donald Trump. There's Ghislaine Maxwell. Huh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Something weird's going on here.
My name has never appeared in court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI interviews surrounding the Epstein matter. I have never had any knowledge of Epstein abuse of his victims. I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on Epstein's plane, and never visited his private island.
You know, I can't help but notice that there are several other places where one may have prominently interacted with Jeffrey Epstein, like his ranch, or his house, or Mar-a-Lago, where he was a member for many, many years, or treated as a member without actually paying membership dues. Because he was just on such good terms with the person who owned Mar-a-Lago, which would have been Donald Trump, his best friend, who was married to Melania Trump at the time. Very strange. The Stockholm Syndrome is strong with this one. I don't think Stockholm Syndrome is what's going on here.
I have never been legally accused or convinced of a crime in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking, abuse of minors, and other repulsive behavior. The false smears about me from mean-spirited and politically motivated individuals and entities looking to cause damage to my good name, to gain financially and climb politically, must stop. My attorneys and I have fought these unfounded and baseless lies with success and will continue to maintain my sound reputation without hesitation. To date, several individuals and companies have been legally obligated to publicly apologize and retract their lies about me, such as Daily Beast, James Carville, and HarperCollins UK. Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned.
Okay, so like up to this point in her press conference, right? Up until this point, it kind of seems like also I'm protecting my good name. I didn't do anything wrong. It was just several prominent American businessmen who may have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And you know, I gotta be completely honest with you. There is a small part of me, like, is it possible that she's doing this to get ahead of some kind of damning report that is going to show bad behavior, illegal behavior, complicit behavior? Maybe. It might also be that she's doing her damnedest to throw Donald Trump under the bus in order to try and be able to divorce him. Like, get out of the terms of her prenup. Like, it could genuinely be something like that.
From their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
And that's it. That is what is going on with Melania Trump.
You can read all about how innocent I am in my new book, Melania, by me, Melania. I do not know this Jeffrey Epstein. Don't forget to buy my book, Melania.
Also see my movie, Melania. We were told it would be good to name both things the same. So, there is some speculation about what exactly is going on here. Number one, there is some speculation that it is about a Brazilian model named Amanda Ungaro, who was a friend of Melania Trump's. And here's some reporting from Newsweek about this. The former partner of a modeling agent and longtime ally of Donald Trump is recalling her brief interaction with Jeffrey Epstein on his private jet packed with teenage girls. Amanda Ungaro, a 41-year-old former model from Brazil, said she flew on the late sex offender's so-called Lolita Express from Paris to New York in 2002, along with her then agent Jean-Luc Brunel, who acted as a scout for Epstein in the South American nation, according to the Justice Department. My agent told me, we're going with a couple of friends, a private plane just for us, Ungaro told O Globo in an interview late last month. There were around 30 very young women there, 14, 15, 16 years old. I said, what is this? He replied, don't worry. And Ungaro would later develop deep ties with both Melania and Donald Trump. And, yeah. Amanda, let me introduce you to Jeffrey, her agent said, she recalled. He came over and asked, where are you from? How old are you? Which modeling agency do you work for? And then she introduced me to Jelaine. Ungaro, then 17, said she never again saw Epstein. But, you know, like, yeah, that's pretty messed up. That's pretty gross, actually. And, obviously, this isn't necessarily the damning smoking gun that one might expect would have caused Melania Trump to go and do this press conference. Because this press conference is a pretty big deal. It's through the presidential accounts, right? Ungaro, who threatened Melania Trump last week with legal action while vowing to tear down her corrupt system, has been vocal on X in a series of since-deleted posts that appeared just hours before the First Lady disavowed all ties to Jeffrey Epstein or knowledge of his crimes. I have nothing to lose in my life, Ungaro wrote last week before deleting the post. I will tear down the entire system. Be careful with me, bitch. Unknown exactly what the hell is going on there. However, also worth noting that apparently Melania Trump was very rattled by something. Maybe this, maybe something else. So rattled, in fact, that she did this entire press conference seemingly without telling Donald Trump that she was going to do it. And it's fascinating. President Trump said Friday that he had known his wife wanted to speak about Jeffrey Epstein at some point, and that he, quote, thought she had a right to talk about it, unquote, even though he had not known what exactly she planned to say. It doesn't bother me, Mr. Trump said in a brief telephone interview referring to the remarks Melania Trump made from the entrance hall of the White House a day earlier. I don't know what that statement was, he said, but I knew she was going to make a statement. Like, The First Lady's comments certainly came as a surprise to many other people who work in the White House, according to two officials familiar with the situation. It's not clear why she had chosen that moment to talk about Mr. Epstein. Absent any explanation, questions and feverish conspiracy theories swirled. Like, even the people in the White House are just kind of like, what the hell is happening here, right? And it's worth noting that in that press conference that Melania had called unilaterally, she also called for the Epstein survivors to testify in front of Congress. How do the Epstein survivors feel about this? Let's check it out. Let's look at their statement. Statement by survivors in response to Melania Trump. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have already shown extraordinary courage by coming forward, filing reports, and giving testimony. Asking more of them now is a deflection of responsibility, not justice. First Lady Melania Trump is now shifting the burden onto survivors under politicized conditions that protect those with power. The Department of Justice, law enforcement, prosecutors, and the Trump administration, which has still not fully complied with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It also diverts attention from Pam Bondi, who must answer for withheld files and the exposure of survivors' identities. Those failures continue to put lives at risk while shielding enablers. Survivors have done their part. Now it's time for those in power to do theirs. Signed by about a dozen Epstein survivors. They are not super happy with this. Just want to point out that Donald Trump has, since this press conference, been spiraling like crazy. And we'll talk about the exact issues that he's been spiraling about later on in today's program. But worth noting at least one of them here. Okay, let's just take a quick look. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people, they know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past, look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, aren't even invited on TV, because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump. Not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. Sorry. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not. And will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers. And they always will be. Now, fake news CNN and the failing New York Times and all the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA, they're losers, just trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. When they call, I don't even answer because I'm too busy dealing with world and country affairs. I can't. I can't. This is so stupid. Okay. All right. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about what's doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength in not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is making America great again, but these people have no idea how to do that. But I do! Because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump. What is the brown in reference to? Because he thinks that, like, when something is green, it turns brown when it goes bad. Like when grass dies for the winter or something. Like that is the connection in his head. It's really stupid. It's really fucking stupid. That was a post. It's huge. It's colossal. And also, he's been like going cuckoo bananas recently. And the question really has become, what exactly is happening? Is this all dementia, or is it dementia plus the fact that, like, he knows something might be coming down the pipeline, right? I mean, like, you've got The Guardian over here publishing, what on earth is Melania Trump thinking? And, like, the gist of it here, guys, is that it's very clear, to me at least, and maybe I'm wrong, but it really seems that Melania Trump, because here's how this works, right? If somebody is about to run a hugely damaging story about you, some mainstream outlet, some reputable outlet, they're going to call you first, right? To see if you have any comment or response. And from that call, you can generally discern some information about what might be released in the near future. And if this is a hugely damaging story, well, one of the strategies is called getting ahead of it, right? Which is you try to take control of the narrative and, pilot, like frame it in a more positive light, right? You try and take control of the story and frame yourself in the best possible light so that when the story does drop, you can then be, like, perceived more positively, or people have more sympathy for you, etc. And that kind of seems to be what's happening here. It's worth noting that, like, from a PR perspective, this is a hugely, hugely, hugely risky strategy. Most PR strategists are not going to suggest that you do this, except as, like, kind of a Hail Mary strategy. Like, because essentially, if you're wrong, there is now an outlet out there that was going to potentially print something, but you have now released more information or created an entirely new news cycle that then can amplify that coming story. Or alternatively, that story gets canceled for whatever reason, and now you've just created a news cycle that almost certainly is going to attract more attention to this story and revive it, right?
Okay, real talk. The very MAGA guys at the fastener store I go to all the time think Trump is insane now.
Hell yeah.
It used to be me telling them about Trump news. Now they tell me how bad he's doing unprompted.
That, genuinely, I think that people are very, very clearly identifying what has been obvious for a long time, which is that Donald Trump is going crazy. I have an entire segment about Donald Trump going insane prepped for today. Cards on the table. That is another, if that video hasn't gone up on the YouTube, it is going to come out soon. So just heads up on that. But, like, it's very obvious now. So I am wondering if Melania is doing this to try and get ahead of the story to save her own skin and kind of hang her husband out to dry. That might be what's happening. not quite sure. I mean, essentially, you've got a bunch of shit options in this circumstance, and well, Melania Trump successfully created her own news cycle for this particular bit of information. It hasn't gone particularly well for her, and I imagine if there is some kind of bombshell reporting that is going to drop in the next week or so, this will not have done her any favors. Okay, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But like, there's a lot of bizarre facts right now. There's a lot of bizarre behavior right now, coming from Donald Trump himself, coming from the fact that the White House didn't know she was going to do a press conference, coming from the fact that she called for Congress to hear more testimony from victims. Like, this was like hurling a PR hand grenade into the middle of a busy intersection. Like, everyone's going to pay attention to what happens to that now. If the goal was to make this story go away faster, it did not succeed in doing that. And my guess is, if I had to put a wager down, something is going to come out in the next handful of days here that is hugely damaging if, it isn't quashed before it's time to go to press. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. It's Monday, but I can tell you guys, this feels like it's going to be a really weird week when it comes to news coming out of the Trump White House. Like, I can't really go into more details. Like, we're going to talk more about the state of Donald Trump, the state of like the White House, the state of everything going on with Trump's cabinet. But like, it really feels like we've kind of hit a point where like the nuts and bolts are just falling out of the car, and like cartoonishly, as America speeds down the highway at 60 miles an hour, just bits of the car are falling off. And it remains to be seen just how long these madmen can put pedal to the metal and push this vehicle before too many parts fall off. So, all that being said, if you got anything out of this, folks, if you have any theories about why she's doing this, let me know down in the comments. Leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words really help in the algorithm. Leave a like, subscribe, and also get organized. Join your local DSA. Join your local Democrats. We need people to make their Democrats more progressive, to take over your local Democratic Party and make it actually function for working people in your neighborhood. And we need people to join DSA and make it an effective organizing tool for organizing working people. Doing both, we can do a lot. And we're going to be talking later today in today's show, actually, about what you can do if you are able to coordinate and build local power by getting involved and getting other people involved in your local area. And it's really, really cool. So if you need help taking the first steps to get involved with DSA or with your local Democrats, join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy for help with DSA.
My theory is Melania is trying to line up for clemency in future trials. Same with why Usha Vance and Caroline Leavitt are both pregnant right now.
I don't know that Usha Vance and Caroline Leavitt are pregnant to like get clemency in future trials. I don't know about that. I do think she's trying to set herself up in a very specific light.
Good to see you, Jack. Just stopping by. Hugs to you.
Thank you so much, Chris Huggins. Thank you for the membership. And Lily Love Stuff, thank you for the $5 dono. And also, folks, if you need help joining your local Dems, join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly. She will be happy to get you involved in your local Democratic Party. We've had so many people do that in this community that there are people here who have now been able to rise to leadership positions in their local Democratic parties just by showing up. When I tell you guys, 95% of the work is showing the fuck up, it's true. Show up and say yes when like people want to give you responsibility and power. And that's how you can build your local political power and clout, as it were, in the real world. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA. And last but not least, please check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is non-tucking lingerie. It is elegant. It is sexy. It is beautiful, and it fits. So go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. I'm wearing it right now. It's super comfortable. And go check it out. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack,